mind?
Well, that's an excellent question. They have a control. This is something I was never told, but I wasn't told how they do it. I'm told they can do it. They can actually put almost like an electromagnetic something on their head to put them into a state of stupor or sleep. It's almost like they can anesthetize them electromagnetically. I mean, I don't know if it's tinfoil and a 12-volt battery. I'm being a little bit facetious there, okay? But that's how they evidently do it.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Good question. I've never been asked that question.
Let's go to Ontario, Canada. Anna, you're up with Stephen Quayle. Hey there. How are you?
Hi, George. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
I was actually just calling in. I was wondering whether throughout your research throughout the years, Steve, have you ever wondered whether these giants have any specific groups, such as races, like we have, for example, Caucasians, African Americans, with different kind of characteristics? Because I used to hear a lot of stories from where I come from, which is the old East Europe, from my great-grandmother from Bosnia. And she used to talk about these, because they lived, back from where I come from, they lived in villages that were kind of secluded. She used to talk about people who were taller and bigger. They used to sing. And I was wondering whether these giants might fall into different kind of, Well,
I'm told absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm told that, it's almost like they're not all basically, there's groups that are redheads, there's groups that are black. I mean, yes, to answer your question, yes. They're not just, quote, Caucasian looking like they're dead, I mean, the redheaded giants, it's interesting because in Nevada, the redheaded giants were on Catalina Island, George. And the Caribbean and the Karnakawas in Texas, Oklahoma, they come in all, I guess you'd say, sizes, colors, and shapes.
So is it possible, basically, that some alien, extraterrestrial group might have come to Earth and basically engineered them?
Well, that's
genetically
a good question,
engineered them into different races.
Yeah, let me share this. My contention is that there are as many species of these entities out there as there are probably in the animal kingdom. Mm-hmm. And so the thing is, the Bible, and I want to share this, all of myths and legends go to, if you're saying extraplanetary or aliens, that which is not indigenous to this planet, okay? The aliens, the Nephilim, and this is something we should address, George, because I'm getting emails. The fallen angels, or the watchers that had charge over her, the Book of Enoch says 200 of them came to Mount Hermon. One of the things that is obvious in all the myths and legends, whether it's the Oannes, O-A-N-N-E-S, the mermen, that's where the wise ones that came out of the sea, that's what the Aztecs, Incas, and Mayans talked about. Okay. Quetzalcoatl, all these things. It's someone that came from off or under the planet to teach the surface dwellers or the earth dwellers all the secrets of the universe. And the thing is that that's the thing, the knowledge of good and evil. And I think the fascinating thing is that when people ask me, well, how many different species? Well, special forces, and this isn't all special forces, there are specific groups, so maybe I'm not even using the correct terminology there, but the men and women that fight these things, I mean, they call them species, and they'll give them a number, okay, like Yeti or Abominable Snowman or whatever, they're called Species 8. What a fascinating thing. The reason why people don't see more Yeti dung or more Yeti hair, the Yeti have a little attendant thing with them, kind of like, if you will, it's Chewbacca, and I'm making this simplistic, R2-D2, it's not a robot, but that basically cleans up their mess. They come with another, if you will, like a shark and a remora. The Yeti have a remora-like creature that makes sure that kind of covers their tracks, and it's fascinating. I never knew that before I was told that.
We posted the picture you just sent me, Stephen, with your permission, of course, of the Nevada skulls.
Absolutely.
That you emailed me. It's up there at coast2coastam.com. Tell us a little bit more about that story.
Well, Lovelock, Nevada is interesting because when you deal with the old mining folklore of both Nevada and California, there are a lot of miners that found these things. Now, Lovelock used to have a giant mummy until I think the feds went in and took it, okay? As you know from reading the description on that the gentleman that sent us that picture, and by the way, you guys sanitize his name, so just it's not on there, right?
We sanitized the name.
Yeah, okay, thank you. The thing is that the Lovelock Museum was famous, and the Lovelock Giants were the red-headed Indians that the Paiutes specifically talked about. And they had their Indian name for them, which I think is something like Sitakdahi or something like that. I may be murdering the name. But the point is that those were the ones that were double rows of teeth. Interestingly enough, all the red-headed giants that were from Nevada west going into the Catalina and on the Channel Islands and up and down the coast, the point is they were double-row teeth, and a lot of them, I've never found vegetarian giants, okay? I never have, just so you know. When I was talking to one of the big studios, I think it was one of the producers for DreamWorks or somebody, they wanted me to write a screenplay or change my screenplay to make these things really loving creatures that cared for the children. I said, well, I'll tell you how they cared for them. They basically probably put them on skewers and chewed on them as shish kebab.
Well, what a way to care for the children,
yeah,
I'll tell you.
What a way to care for the children. But the Lovelock Giants were really interesting because that's probably the best, most well-documented Native American, not only legend, but the mummies, and they actually had mummified Lovelock Giants with red hair. So what you're seeing there are the skulls, but the actual giant that was at that museum was, I'm told, it was taken out of there. And that's what happens, George. There's a thing called a Native American Antiquities Act, I think. I mean, and every bone that's ever found is considered to be a Native American. Well, that became problematic when in Kennewick, Washington, they found the Kennewick Man. By running DNA sampling, they found out that obviously the Kennewick Man was not a Native American, okay? And he was red-headed. So the thing is that, and you go into the history of China, you have in China a marvelous testimony of different giants, and I don't think people understand how many pyramids are in China. And because China during after World War I and stuff, they wanted to cover a lot of the pyramids, so they just stacked dirt around it and planted forests. But China has some of the biggest pyramid structures. Now, here's something that people have got to understand. It's not the stuff you see on top of the surface, it's what's under the surface. It's not what's in the Giza Plateau and Gap Brink's Door and all that stuff. It's what's under there. We paid the Egyptians a whole lot of money, meaning the government, to keep all of the real history hidden, okay? Like giant sarcophaguses, the same ones, by the way, or very similar, that were found in the caves in the Grand Canyon that are off limits now to climbers and archaeologists, which, interestingly enough, one of the listeners to Coast on one of the shows you did got a hold of me. He said, I was on one of the crews, Steve, that went into those caves to take out the Egyptian giant sarcophaguses, and we took them to Area 51. One of your listeners, George, and he was terrified. I got to tell you something. Some of these guys that deal with this stuff, and I had, again, different people in the community that deal with this, tell me, Steve, I've seen one. Here's what a general said to me. He said, Steve, I've seen some of the most hardened, fear-nothing men absolutely lose it when they encounter this stuff in the real. I said, well, that's I mean, these are the most deadly men in the world. I mean, they fight this stuff.
They're tough.
They're tough. But and I got to tell you something. A very wise man, God bless him, said to me, he says, never forget, Steve, when you look into the abyss stares back at you.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like the movie Wall Street. Remember that?
You got it. But again, the thing is that it's fascinating. And by the way, these things hunt by DNA. And you know how they hunt by DNA? They hunt by the harmonic signature of DNA. And
all right.
Wild.
Let's go to Chris in Cleveland. We'll take this the last call of the break. Go ahead, Chris.
Hi, George. It's an honor. I've called a couple times before. Steve, I visit your website just as much as I do Coast to Coast. You, Coast to Coast, and probably CNN just to see what they're brainwashing us with. That's where I get all my news from. But I was in school in Columbus last year, and I was driving home after a party with a friend, and we saw this. Steve, are you familiar with those Aurora ships? They're like the giant triangle.
Oh, absolutely. Some of them, by the way, aren't just Aurora. Some of them are what are called TR-3Bs, Tango Romeo 3 Bravos. Yeah, I'm very familiar with them.
Right. We saw one that looked just like that coming like from the west, which would be from the direction of Dayton. And it was like really low to the ground, and we could like make out the triangular shape. Like there was no way we were mistaken. And it was just going really slowly, and it just disappeared over the horizon, and it didn't make any noise. And like it was late at night. It was like 1 o'clock. It made no sound. I even stopped the car because we were like, "What the heck is that?" And I guess that was just like a comment. But I guess my question would be, what can we do to like prepare for all of these huge changes that are happening? Like the average person, like people who are middle class, who are poor, do we just band together and, just try and weather this out